special park. Oh, they could get Wednesday. Oh, they could get Wednesday night.
Can't wear it.
Commissioner Technical Help.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are we ready?
I think we are ready. We're not gonna have, monitors today because the computer system isn't down.
Ah, imagine that.
When my door was open,
I'd like to call the October 12th meeting of the Gardner Airport Association to order. And I don't know what the first thing on your agenda is presentation.
Yeah, that was, Mississippi, the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah. Okay, the first item then is public comments. Do we have any public comments?
I have a question.
If you could come up to the mic and state your name and address.
Sure. My name is Jerry Gipner, 14810 West 159th, Olathe, Kansas. And my question is, the city just sent out letters on the hangars, but they're grossly incorrect. So I just want to know, how do we approach the city to correct that?
You can get with me on the hangars.
Okay?
Are you a subleasee or a lease?
Both.
Okay.
And you sent me 3 letters, 2 of which are incorrect, and one that should have been correct wasn't there. So.
Incorrect in what way, Jerry? Incorrect in what way?
Well, they got me subleasing one that I don't have anymore.
Okay.
One that I do sublease, they don't have. One that I had subleased, but they don't have it that way. And the other one is correct.
1 out of 3?
Yeah. So,
Jerry, you just move around too much.
well, that's probably true. I can't keep track of myself half the time. And I'm not really blaming the city. I'm just saying, how do we correct it?
Okay.
So come and see
Yeah,
me.
just, get with me.
During the week.
Meeting, or, you may call along.
Well, I'll be out of town tomorrow, but we can do it after the meeting if that'd be any good. Sure, thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll go into the consent agenda, and that item is the approval of the minutes of the September 14th meeting. Has everyone on the board read those?
Yes.
You know, what we didn't have was a roll call. We're missing one of our, we should make a note of that. Peter Zarbeck is not here, so we have 4.
Right, this evening. Right.
Yeah, so I'll continue on. Then I'm entertaining a motion for the approval.
I'm moved that we approved last month's meeting as stated.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, any further discussion?
None.
Then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Next item is a review of the financial statements, which I have brought in this evening. And everybody's looking at a copy of them. We have 2 bank accounts. One of them's in the Metcalf Bank, and that's the one where the majority of actually all of our checks are written, except in rare occasions. And if you look down through there, you'll see what checks were written this month. You'll notice one huge one, which is our fall payment to the city of Gardner. That's the hangar payment and the runway. Other than that, is there any questions on that account?
What's the $6,037 for petroleum equipment?
That was the payment to PE. What's the name of the company there? PEI, the company that was that was for the new pump that went in. You'll see one more next month, which was drastically reduced for them.
So you negotiated?
Yeah, they gave us, I don't know, about 50 hours, I think. And so, anyway, that is the pump and the accessories that went with it. Our new fuel pump for the 91 octane. Any more questions on that one?
On here.
Okay, then we have our account at Gardner Bank, and all of this is just the deposits for the electronic deposits for the fuel that was sold last month. And that account has 97,910 in it, and the Metcalf one has 67,485. And those together, we have a total of $165,396.
That charge for the difference in the fuel, you know, when you empty the tanks and put it back in, they were gonna charge you, that didn't show up on this one?
You'll show that, no, it didn't show up, it'll show up next month.
Okay.
Yeah. So I need a motion to approve the financial.
I make a motion, we approve the finances.
Second?
I'll second it.
Any more discussion?
None.
If there's no more, then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that was all of us, I heard, so no nays on that, okay.
Did you buy all that fuel, Dave, or Ray? Is that all yours?
No.
I'll go a little further with, well, we need to talk about the asphalting later, so I'll continue on with our, the next item is, we'd like to go into executive session to talk about our property acquisitions for next year. And
So I would need someone to make a motion on your brief sheets. It's a staff recommendation, and so someone would need to make a motion to recess into executive session. Basically, just read that sentence. So we need to put in at the beginning and ending time. I would imagine this one would take about 10 minutes. So you can put in beginning at 7:09 and returning at 7:19.
And also keep in mind that we have to honor the end time, so if we only allot 10 minutes, we have to return promptly in 10 minutes.
Right, and if we need to take longer, we can then go right back into an executive session again.
We'll have to move yet again.
But if you, I think 10 minutes would probably cover it.
thinking, we worked pretty quick. I think I know what you're gonna talk about, so that's fine. Does somebody wanna make that motion?
I move that we enter into executive session at, a little bit later right now, at 7:10, and return at 7:20.
And then just state for the purpose.
Okay, for the purpose of discussing, real estate acquisitions, property pursuant to KSA 75-4319, Section B, Subpart 6.
Got a second?
I'll second.
Need more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No. Okay.
We go to the room next to it.
Okay.
We are
lights turned on.
The video's the same way.
You know, when I was First Harvest Bank, and they were right across Sixth Street.
That's the same way, you know, you really talk about transparency and all that shit. Videos, and you, if you ever try to listen to, or watching one of their videos, you can't hear what they're saying at all.
Oh, yeah. I've actually put on about 30 pounds. Just started working.
She what?
She travels.
I always thinking, about where am I going to eat? You know, there's always something.
I can't. No, I don't know, I've got ringing ears and all that, and over, and, but I can't, you know, it's ridiculous that they're having public meetings and then nobody can hear what's going on.
Literally back then, so, I, not much else.
Do you know Bill Weininger? He was a public works director in Washington. He also, I tell people, you know, we live in Martha's the ice house people.
They don't have them.
I know exactly what I'm talking about.
Who offered to pay it?
I guess after it was the ice house, it was a bar for a while.
For the city to pay for it?
Shocker there.
Yeah.
Well, if the city wants to take the thing over, why don't they take it?
Why is it anybody thinks we told everybody that the very first day?
Wow.
Yeah.
It really is. And actually, when I come into work, I zigzag to the east
Dave
side.
still says that.
And now they've got this
Ray says
called
that.
warehouse district.
Yep.
The warehouse, a bunch of apartments and lofts, and then now they build other stuff, and it's going through quirky sort of redevelopment process.
They haven't got it fixed.
Bad part of that, that area, that.
Yeah. No, it's not really.
My only thought would be, they haven't done it for years and years.
Probably one of those, I kinda like the look, you know?
They've changed the fuel.
And even north ones across.
I swear, they ought to put that other stuff back.
Sketchy, but.
That 91 is all.
That's exactly
So many
And I
more.
see the kind of, you know, architectural kind of, exposed beams and stuff, this is kind of real eclectic kind of stuff.
He's been waiting for millions of dollars for an electronics and an airplane, but he's going, he's worried about a gallon. He's worried about not, he'd be better off with 100 with that big engine. Much better. I don't even burn any.
In some ways, I think it's kind of hurt, some of the properties down there are just default.
You don't put no gas in it?
Now, because of that location, I think people out there were that. $30,000 in
I suppose
I don't want to be in downtown
Bill
Florida.
was doing that, an SD, what is it, FDD for?
But if the feds ever looked at what's
Well, there's a lot of cool,
they cancel every FCC out.
let's see,
But it's typical, doesn't it?
Chucky area, years ago, I was going to be.
I put it in one time.
Put up crappy apartment.
And I can tell, and it may be psychological, but it seemed like I was going forever to take off. It just didn't have.
I don't know how much that area between,
Yeah.
I guess, you know, sort of.
I didn't put it in again.
Street and the campus.
That's all I needed is
I mean,
to have this thing
there's
made.
still a lot of big
Quick
apartments and
house.
houses, but how much are really just old student housing?
Yeah, I think most of them are.
After 20 years, you know, they're 44.
Usually the students are in hospital hours.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
take that.
There's one between like, between 6th and 9th, and.
What was that,
the whole area
area,
west.
88 or 87?
Used to be 87.
You find some really good. I know there's a kid, pretty much says, he was like, was his job, he was like working for his.
There's no gas.
Company, and there's all the good, houses and all, it's good carpet.
Except that it's not what is not in there. No, it's not.
It seems like there's always somebody. Zigzag through those neighborhoods sometimes, and
Doesn't mention.
you can't get anywhere as fast, right?
Yeah.
That, analyze that stuff.
But, you know,
Every SDC out
but
there.
there, you know, spending thousands of dollars fixing foundations, and jacking those up,
No more.
redoing stuff, it's just,
It's not really a problem, because I don't even use it.
it's really a pretty good, a unique success story.
If I
avoiding the hundred low end, I just fly left. That's
Yeah, I
all there
remember
is to it.
it was always a battle when, first when the malls were, the malls was one that, the malls that was allowed.
Or I just go out for a shorter length of time.
Destroyed it in the past. And Wise, I mean, there's all kinds of development. Iowa Street, Home Goodness, downtown, so it's kind of its own.
I'm surprised they haven't adopted, like Austin, let's keep Austin weird, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's like some things that's one out of jail where it's, you know what I mean?
I can see plenty of people getting on that.
Oh, no doubt.
But he sure don't hold back on anything to do with that airplane or. He never warned you.
It really is a pretty fun place. It's always a nice home to it. I don't feel like it's crowded or just overrun. It's just, it's always just kind of nice. Busy.
And it's hard to put her out.
That wouldn't go. Work on the left, find the cheapest fuel around there, about 90 bucks.
You know, when's the traffic always goes like?
You know, they're still, they're close, but they're putting in, a few of the spans that they have started putting on the bridge deck. All the pillars seem to be up. So I think the road and the flat work is pretty well done, except for the covering bridge decks. I know like Haskell Road, going south, is closed. The county, that's done, and halfway over.
It turns back 100 miles to a place like this.
So I'll bet they're gonna go.
At about $10. I don't think it's working.
Through the winter, on some of those bridge decks or not.
So we never worried about that.
I've seen places where they actually bring in precast tools in the bridge, and just set them down.
It doesn't pay,
Yeah,
I think, cheap. It doesn't pay for anything. Whether it's a starter,
precast panels
cylinder,
become pretty-
or gasoline. You start thinking that way, something's gonna probably happen. You know what I mean? Something's gonna fix it.
Well, okay, I need a motion to reconvene.
I move that we reconvene the meeting after executive session pursuant to the KSA 75-4319, Section B, Subpart 6.
Got a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
I didn't get who made the motion in the second, sorry.
Joe?
Okay.
And you state the time?
Oh, at 7:19.
Okay. Discussion items, I suspect, that's you, isn't it, Brian?
Yes.
We had the computer for everybody to see. The first item on discussion is an update on the city action relating to the airport. As was mentioned in the public comments, the city did mail out letters to current leaseholders last week. A lot of people got them over the weekend since we took a tremendous amount of calls today. The letters were mailed stating that all leases would be terminated on December 31st, 2015. The letter also stated that current leaseholders would be sent a new lease in late November. And in your packets, we actually included a copy of what the letter was.
Was there one version or was there two?
There's actually two. Anybody that had a lease, we sent that one. Anybody that we had a record of that had a sublease, we sent a second one that basically said the same thing, but commented that we didn't know, there's been no decisions made on whether future leases would allow subleasing. We haven't had really a discussion on that. So that was, we weren't sure what was going to happen, so we didn't want to say for sure they would get a new lease. We did want to say that people that were the original leaseholders for that would definitely be afforded a new lease in late November. And so a lot of the conversations we had today involved people that were sub-leaseholders. But obviously that line did make them a little bit concerned if they've been in there for a number of years. Would they be able to have a lease in 2016? And what we said, no decisions have been made, and we haven't really even discussed that yet.
And where does that discussion happen, and who's part of that discussion?
Well, that's gonna be a discussion, I think we'll, quite honestly, what we're doing is we're starting to look at what other airports have as far as lease agreements. As we start to craft the lease agreements, that actually will tentatively scheduled for November 16th council meeting. And I have that on there on November 16th. Starting January 1, the city has no budget authority to spend money on the airport. And so on November 16th, they'll be bringing forth a budget amendment to put the airport into the budget so we have spending authority. We're also going to talk about minimum standards. We're going to talk about leases, talk about the rates charged for hangars. Again, at this point, we're just starting to gather that information, so.
No, but I guess I'm wondering about the advisory board that they're gonna create and what.
Well, I think from our standpoint, we'd like to probably bring back to you on November 9th, the next board meeting, to talk about, you guys will have the first chance to look at the leases, and to look at the language and see if you've got any comments on it before we take it to council. So, like I said, we haven't even, we're just starting to look at things right now.
If you get, some letters back with, wrong addresses, let me know, because I have, I'll be able to obtain the current addresses for you. I know all the people very well.
Okay.
And also, when you're, surveying airports, you might think about the like airports, to Gardner rather than, Executive and, New Century and downtown, because they have, enemies. They have stuff we don't have, and, you ought to compare like, Ottawa and, Paola and Garnett and a few of those airports also.
I know that, Sharon in our office has pulled, like Lawrence. She's been trying to get information from Ottawa. She's been having a tough time getting responses from them. She's talked to Miami County down in Paola. So she's trying to get all those around, and so we want to have a light comparison on what we're looking at.
What do you want from Ottawa? One of their board members works for me.
Okay, we'd like them to call Sharon. She's trying to get like a copy of the lease and a copy of the lease rates that they charge down there, and try to get a feel for what, if it's similar hangars.
Okay.
That's the thing. So, next airport meeting I have on the list is November 9th, and that's when we'll bring that information back to you. What we're proposing as far as rates, if there's any changes at all. We'll provide leases, what the lease language is what we're proposing, and that'll give you a chance to review it and go over it before we take it to the city council. The city council meeting on the 16th is again that public hearing to amend the budget, also possible approval of minimum airport standards, approval of new lease language for individual hangars, and approval of hangar rental rates for 2016. November 23rd would be our plan to mail out the new leases, if it all goes for you guys and city council. We want to give people at least a month to receive the new leases, and we're asking for them back by December 31st. I've already been contacted by a few folks stating they're going to actually be out of town for various reasons during November and December. If you know anybody like that's a current leaseholder that's going to have a new address, if they can get us a new address or get us an email contact where we can send that to them, we don't want anybody to miss out. Then December 9th would be the next airport board meeting, and again, December 31st is when we're asking for the new leases to be signed and returned to the city. So, well, that's what I have on item 1. Any questions?
Anybody?
As of today, no.
Okay.
Item number 2 is an update on minimum airport standards and current planning activities, and Brad from PEC is here tonight to talk about that.
Good evening, everyone. Brad Weisenberger, Professional Engineering Consultants, also PEC for short. As you know, the minimum standards, we had a discussion on our last airport board meeting. I've made all those revisions from legal comments, and those have been resubmitted to city staff for their review and formal adoption. So that's kind of where those things stand at this point. There's certainly some opportunity still for some discussion items, but I think we've pretty well scrubbed the minimum standards, at least from our perspective. So if there's any other comments or questions, feel free to direct them to me or to Brian. Next thing is on the airport planning process, we did complete the survey of the surrounding area. I used our laser scanner to go out and pick up runway endpoints, but also building power lines, power poles, trees, all sorts of items that were out there. And we'll be going through in the next couple of weeks, checking all the points around the airport, finding any obstructions, and working on a mitigation plan. As you know, the one thing that we're charged with is like at runway 0826 and making sure that we get that display threshold at the right location. One thing I wanted to bring up that could be an issue relative to those oil wells that are on the west side of the airport. They may be an obstruction with your plan if you want to have a non-precision instrument approach, a straight in. And I'm kind of wondering what your thoughts were on continuing to keep that on the planning document. If you want to pursue it, that would mean potentially that the tanks, I think, are the things that are the problem. They poke up the most, the highest. And those could be an issue with that. And of course, if that becomes a problem, then funding of your runway project becomes an issue. So they might want to think about scaling that back to maybe either a circle land type approach, or even just keep it as a visual only. Just something to think about at this point. We haven't had any definitive conversations with the FAA yet. I have talked to them off the record a couple times, not just at the airport conference that they had a couple weeks ago, and they said, well, when you've got some ideas, we can come visit down at FAA offices and talk to them about it. So that's just something I want you to think about, whether or not that's an important item that you'd like to pursue.
Is that an approach from the north only?
At this point, it's an approach from the north, correct.
From the south wouldn't be a problem.
Well, it is, you really have to have both ends clear, because you have missed approach procedures as well. So even though there are times your northerly approach may be clear, if you have an obstruction on your south end, they'll say, well, your missed approach procedure doesn't work. So you gotta have both ends clear. And really, the south end is okay. It is the north end where those tanks are. That's an issue.
Has anything come from, what is it, been a couple of weeks now, DOT was out there, Kansas DOT, and did a survey of all the runways and everything, clearances, and have they reported anything in yet, or?
No, I haven't heard anything from them, but I can make a note to call them.
She spent, what, 2 days out there maybe, or 1 day?
It's been quite a while.
Yeah, well, that's,
Over to the office.
once again, that's your, every 2 years, the state DOT comes out and inspects the airports. And they'll check some rudimentary things. They'll also ask someone, it may probably talk to you, Dale, about based aircraft and operations. And I hope you gave them, because right now your inspection form says you only got like 78 or 79 based aircraft. And I know you're closer to 100, so.
I told her 100.
Okay. So that should get corrected in this next report.
Yeah, I'd like to pursue that, precision approach. I wouldn't drop that just yet unless there's something really detrimental.
Okay. Well, that's kind of the
Right
way I
now, we don't
understand
have a single instrument approach into Gardner. They dropped everything.
Oh, yeah, I understand. But I guess part of me just says, because you're so close to New Century, I mean, you could file cancel in the air. I don't know how much of a pain that is, but it may be an option, just because the other thing is, if you want to keep that procedure, you're going to have to figure out a way to maybe relocate those fuel tank, or those oil tanks, which could be another difficult land issue that you'll be talking about in executive session, so,
The whole south or the west, clear zone
that is correct.
It's
And then
gonna be a
it's
problem.
identified in the, that's another thing about the plan. I've submitted the chapter 1 to Brian and Tim. They're taking a look at it and gonna give me some comments, and we'll probably have that on your agenda for next month as well. But we talked about the land areas that you need to purchase, and that whole west side is something that's gonna be a real challenge. But
That strip we have to buy up along there, how close does that come to the tanks?
the tanks, I believe, are in there. But I think on that one, if it's just the strip we're talking about, we can work with that a little bit, with airspace easement, something like that. But as far as the runway protection zone to the west, that whole thing is about a 20-acre tract that gets up close to even the farmhouse. So,
That air easement we have out there evidently must be still good, because they were gonna put 2 wells right down the center line, and when I gave them, the copy of the air easement, told him to take it to his legal, they did not put the wells in. They drilled, but they didn't put pump on them.
well, and Dale, if you have a copy of that, I'd like to see it, because I know Richard McNett used to talk about that air easement to the west, but I never saw anything from him, so I kinda thought, I didn't know if it really existed or not, and we'd need to verify on county records.
It's on the county record.
Okay, does somebody have a copy of the actual language, or,
I had a copy, I gave everybody a copy, I don't know where it went,
okay?
I'll have to dig around and find it, but
Okay.
we've got copies of it in files.
The other thing on the instrument approach, I had a phone call from Dallas, Manny, I think, is that his name? About the instrument approach, and he was saying, well, that you're not quite long enough runway, and you're not quite something or other. He says, I might be able to figure out how you could have an approach, but I haven't heard anything else from him.
Yeah, I did talk to Manny.
I think he called me the next day after you talked to him.
Right, and that's what we were talking about, because the other thing, you used to have an NDB.
Yep.
When the NDBs were canceled or removed, you had an overlay, so that took out your approach procedure, but to reestablish one, you need to have 3,200 feet and the 60-foot wide paved runway. There's a little bit of leeway on that 3,200 feet based on your elevation and design temperature, all that kind of stuff.
What is the maximum you can get us?
Well, I'm hoping at this point, first, we'd try to do some sort of circle of land. At least that way you can file to Gardner and actually declare Gardner as your destination, because right now you can't do anything. You've got to, like I said, you've got to file the new Century and cancel, and then scoot over to Gardner. So at least that way you could file for Gardner. The other thing that'll be a bit of a challenge is you have to do an AGIS, an airport GIS survey, to verify all sorts of obstructions, and those things cost about $150,000 to do those things. But first thing you're gonna have to do is get your paved runway in, and then take care of all those things for,
What kind of a study do you call that?
it's an AGIS, I think it's just an airport GIS survey, but the FAA calls them an AGIS.
Is that so you can come down Main Street at 200 feet or something?
Well, if you want it on 826, yeah, that's the direction you'd be coming, but,
Never mind. Okay.
Anyway, that's all I had on planning activities. Right.
Thank you, Brad.
Next item we have is hangar rentals. I did attach a kind of an updated copy of the hangar layout to your packets. Comments last time is we had a couple of the hangars reversed, or a couple of the buildings reversed on the numbering system.
Yeah, would you like for me to bring you another copy of the hangar layout for the,
Did I mess this one up too?
huh?
Did I mess this one up too? Or is this one better?
No, yeah, you got the 2 banks swapped around.
Oh, it's on, I didn't see the one on the bottom.
Oh, you've got it there too. Yeah, there you go.
Like it, guys, if you could look at the numbering system we have there to make sure it matches with what we have out there. And I also wanted to talk to you tonight about, we show the trailer parking for the gliders off on the west end of the airport. We added that note based on the last time. We got the experimental aircraft hangar shown. The couple things we don't know are the, kind of the end pieces off the T hangars, if those are associated with a particular hangar, or if there's someone else, you know, renting those.
Just a quick glance here, the green hangars, you got the numbers, backwards, you got 97 on the east side, and that's my hangar. It's on the west side where 81 is.
Okay, so the one at the very top, of the...
What are you talking about, Dan?
Yellow.
That's not right.
Yeah.
You're 81.
I'm not in 81.
Yeah, you're on the end, facing the runway. I'm in 88. He's got it on the right side, and it goes down towards there. It's 80.
He's got 88 on, you're on the right side, but see, he's got 97 down the opposite end.
And that's where it is.
No, I think you're...
Oh, wait a minute, mine's I'm sorry,
You're number 81.
no, I'm not. I've been paying the wrong hanger then.
Yeah, that's, I drove by them all, I looked at them, that should be what it is. Because they do go down in that direction, because I
No,
have friends in 82.
I'm actually, 79 is my hanger.
You got that clear down over here, on the wood.
Okay, I think what let me see, 80?
I got 79 on the very,
Very...
Yeah, that's Dave Glider's hanger.
What, and its number is what?
Oh, that's why, you didn't make them big enough. There's 10 on each side. You've only got 9 on there. So that's where you're off.
Now, which hangers are up?
See, 80's in the right place, but 79 should be where 81's at.
There's actually 2 more on the end.
Yeah.
You're shy by 2 hangers, I think, in there.
Yeah, 78.
Because I think it goes up to 99.
78 and 79 aren't on there.
Yeah, and they continue from...
They're down on the wrong end of the...
I don't think...
can
we
you
know.
guys mark that up for me, so...
I'm not,
Yeah, you've
I don't
got-
think we know how many hangers we have. I think there is only 18 in that.
No, there's 10 on each side.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yep.
Same with the other set. There's 20 in each.
Here, 99
Is Jim's, right?
over
Yes, you're the little end piece.
in the same way on the northwest corner there.
Right, because that other corner was labeled 78, which we're not collecting rent on, right?
Right.
But he's missing 79. Like Dale's paying on 79. So at 78 is the hanger, the little wee cutout.
See, 77 is Dave Glider, 75
And then you're
is
missing-
Mark.
So 81 should be 79.
Everything just
No.
shifted down?
Well, we'll mark it up for you.
Yeah, that would...
No, 81 is,
79.
no,
Where 81 is here.
Yeah, we can discuss. Bring her back next month.
yep.
I'm gonna have a tough time writing this up in a minute.
Who's on first?
Yeah, really.
If you could mark that up for me and give me a
I'll
copy
make you a
of that.
new copy.
Sounds good. And in the end pieces, if there's, you know, if that's attached to a particular hanger, if you could write in the hanger number for the end pieces, or if it's something else that's rented separately, if you could let me know on that. Just, we wanna make sure we got everything addressed. In addition to the trailer parking for gliders, if there's anything else on there that you see that, we need to add to this map, just let us know.
Okay,
That's all I had on that one.
so much for the map.
Yeah, please make, write on that and give me a copy if you would.
Okay.
On the last items for discussion are delinquent rent payments, airfield and grounds, and fuel farm status. Let Dave talk to those.
I don't have any past due information this month. I I should have called Ray to see if he could bring in the information so we could see if we're getting better. Everybody knows that we've sent out statements and people know who are past due, and a lot have called, and we've worked out a lot of it. I don't know exactly where we stand this month. We'll make sure we have that next month.
As we get closer, that's one of the things we talked about as far as the leases. If someone is substantially delinquent in payments, that's a leaseholder, we would be probably withhold sending that new lease to them until they came up to where they needed to be.
Did you get anywhere with Leahy?
Other than, in fact, I mentioned to him 4 or 5 times, he says he's still making that payment. Now, whether he's making that extra payment or not.
Making this $70, by half a month payment extra every month.
We have one fella that I think maybe if we could offer him a credit card payment, we might get paid up.
He said he'd pay on a credit card.
Right, and that's something when we do the billing, that we will have a credit card, people can pay by credit card. We're looking at putting a drop box out at the airport, so people could actually drop their payments there. It's actually being set up with our utility billing department, and so everybody will get a notice each month, and it'll actually be a little stub that they can fill out and turn back into the city, for record-keeping purposes, so we will have that option. So, the other thing, we did have a call today on rent payments. Someone had mentioned that they had paid several months in advance.
We have several paid.
And they were concerned that, as of December 31st, are they out their money? And we said, no, I mean.
No. We know who's paid up
right,
at the end of the year.
we didn't feel that would be a problem.
Yeah, that's no problem.
And next item, airfield and grounds.
That's probably a good time to bring up the possibility of getting any of our asphalt work done this fall. We have, last spring, we got bids to do all of it and decided to do the runway in the spring and then defer this till the fall, and we got kind of, a lot been going on this fall, and so it's getting kind of late, but if we could still get that done, I think it was about another 20 to 25, I believe.
I think so in there, I can't remember. But hopefully it would have changed with the price of oil going down.
We did make the assumption that you were going to go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
So we have it programmed into the numbers that we're working for in 2016, that in 2015 you did spend roughly $25,000 this fall for some sealing work out there.
And I can tell you, we were waiting in the spring to make sure we had funds to do this, and like I told you earlier, we have $165,000 in the bank. We have all of our major payments done for the year. We know that we've got the Sizemore is going to cost about $17,500 our part. The PEC plan update, I think around $7,500, and then the minimum standards, which we have to pay entirely, is $5,000, so that's $30,000. So we have like $135,000 left over. We try to keep at least 50 plus our kind of a factor of what our improvements might have to be, or our major bills might be. So we're around $90,000 in the account, so we've got plenty of cash to do that this fall, if we could get it arranged. So Joe, if you could let us.
Yeah, I'll call him again. I've sent emails and given calls, but nobody's returned them yet. I don't know if it's later in the year or what, but really need to.
Do I need to get a motion or something to do this, or?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope, that's a maintenance activity that you've already been working on.
Yeah, so let us know if they, where they stand with it.
But
Temperature's gonna be the critical item.
Yeah.
Is it mostly crack sealing, or is it a kind of a surface seal, or?
Crack sealing, and I believe there was a.
It's crappy surface to start with. Very, it was done kind of, I guess in a rush.
Mm-hmm.
Not the last thing. So we have, if you look on the north side of the east hangars, first off, if you stand at the taxiway and look in both directions, one of them goes out far enough for an airplane to taxi down it and be completely on the asphalt. The other side, not so much. and where the waters run off the roof, it's caused a lot of deterioration right along the hangers there, so, Jerry would tell you, I guess, it's all crumbled and deteriorating in there, it's, pretty bad shape, and it really needs to be done right. That's the issue, I mean, it was just laid, I think, over the dirt probably.
Yeah, was our parking lot of, or airplane parking, was that part of this too?
No, we didn't talk about it, but we certainly could throw that in there.
After we walked over it last week, excuse me, I think we need some crack sealing and some, there too, so. Anyway, if you let us know on that, we'll, possibly, we can get that done.
From my standpoint, the weather is still very decent for crack sealing.
Yeah,
And
it's whether the companies can get in.
Right.
Okay, good.
Fuel farm status, and you mentioned in the,
Fuel farm, I was gonna ask, Jim, do you have anything on the airfield? I know that on the grounds, I know you seeded, with the cedar of the counties and overseeded the north-south in the spots where it's bare.
We have a good stand, but we are dire need of some moisture right now.
Yeah.
I checked this morning, matter of fact.
Mhm.
It's still there, but it's sure hanging on.
we picked the driest September and early October to do that.
You always gamble, you know.
The farm to farm.
And so do you have anything else on the airfield or grounds or anything?
No, not at this juncture.
I would let you report on the fuel farm.
Okay. The 91 octane, we are selling it again. We started Thursday of last week. And I talked to Kunkel this morning, and he's ready to backfill. I also checked this morning, and there was a slight leak. I tightened it, and I still have a leak farther up someplace. I have to do that tomorrow.
Is this by the pump or is this?
It's what they have a check valve.
Mm-hmm.
And above the check valve, they have a nipple, and on the nipple, they have a 1.5 inch union. I tightened it, now it's leaking someplace below that, so.
But this is above ground.
It is above ground until we put the concrete in. And that's the reason we don't
Oh,
do any
okay.
concrete or asphalt, whichever
Okay.
we're gonna do on that.
Sure. That's been a long project and a costly one. We won't have much fuel, profit this year. With that.
Keep going, Ray.
Is, anything else on the fuel farm?
So basically, right now, I feel everything is fixed, but you're just kinda waiting to make sure everything's working right before we go back and put a asphalt or concrete cap on it.
If we're ready to jump on doing this other asphalt work though, would it make sense to have those guys do that, or would that be, you think they'd be too late?
Do we wanna go back to concrete, or we wanna go back to asphalt?
6 have one, half dozen another, I think, you know. If you had.
Concrete would support the pipe and stuff better.
Yeah, it wouldn't shrink and wouldn't sink and create.
Don't worry about asphalt, somebody taxing over and driving over the weight.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if Tim has any comments, but if we could have a concrete cap around the pumps versus an asphalt cap, I think that would, if you have a spill or anything out there, or just, I think concrete might be better.
Yeah.
There probably should be some asphalt on top of it, some concrete on top of it, that's what gets cut out.
Yeah, we've got everything up to where the line is, and actually, you put, sand in there around the lines.
Right.
Yeah, so, yeah,
And around the pump also, it'll be around the pump.
yeah, okay.
Set up.
Concrete, sounds good.
Instead of black paint.
Okay.
Folks should probably make a motion for that.
You want a motion for that?
But it's not an action item,
Okay.
so it's a discussion, but I think I'm looking at kind of a day-to-day maintenance operations of what they need to do out there, so
Okay.
I think we can kind of, I'm gonna approach it from,
Okay.
make a decision.
Fair enough.
Brian, I took a bunch of pictures of the work out there.
Mhm.
Does the city have any use for those in the future, because we had no idea what they'd done?
Actually, that'd be actually great to have a copy of that. I mean, you keep a copy, we'll keep a copy, so if something happens down the line, we know what's in the ground and how it lays. If you got stuff as they're coming up with the replacement stuff,
I've got several pictures during the process.
that'd be great.
Might do some exploratory surgery.
20 years from now, we won't. Pictures will be wonderful. So, Tim will need
Okay.
those in 20 years.
Do we have any other business? Do you have anything else, Brian?
I don't, so it's the, other business from you guys.
Anybody on board, any other? Okay. Okay, what's the committee member updates?
Oh, that's just thing, if you have any questions for me, or if you have anything, you'd like to add, so.
I think we've already asked you all of our questions.
Okay.
We'll have plenty more.
And so what I've taken out of this is this evening on November, the next meeting, definitely what we'll be bringing to you is kind of what staff's recommendation is as far as hangar leases, hangar rates, and then updated on the minimum standards, and we'll try to get those to you definitely several days before the meeting, so you have a chance to go through those.
Yeah, thank you. Then I need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second. Okay, that's a second. Any discussion? None. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're done.
Thank you all.
There you go. Turn the switch off. Mash the microphone.
It's recording.
You can do grab the water.
On the other end over there.
Yes, we've got it.
I'll run you up a copy of the thing.